Hello, I am Engineer Marion James Bilaja, your instructor for this subject. The content of this video is about basic quantities involving electric circuits. So there are two basic quantities involving our electric circuits, your charge and current. But first, let us take up your charge. So your charge is an electrical property of the atomic particles of which material consists. It is measured in coulombs. It is also the physical property of matter that causes it to experience a force when placed in an electromagnetic field. So there are two types of charges. We have your positive and negative charge. So always remember that this positive and negative charge follows the repulsion and the repulsion of magnets and also their attraction. So this positive and negative charge can be found in an atom illustrated by your Bohr model. So typically yung Bohr model nyo, yan yung nakikita nyo sa physics. So we have our Bohr model. So let's say this is your atom. This is your nucleus. And meron siyang orbit. So based on your past lessons in physics, your nucleus has your positive and neutral charge. So there are three subatomic particles in a nucleus. So you have your positive, neutral, and your negative charge. Your positive charge is typically your proton. Then your negative charge is your electron. And then your neutral charge is your neutron. So your positive charge is your proton and your negative charge is because of your electron. The magnitude of charge of these two are equal, which is equal to 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19 coulombs. This is positive when you are talking about your proton, and it is negative when you are talking about your electron. Okay? So, without charge, you can never produce a electric current because basically your electric current is the movement of charges, which is equal to dq over dt, wherein your q is equal to your charges measured in coulombs, and your t is your time measured in seconds. Okay, so this is coulomb, right? So your current is the flow of electrons. It is the rate at which the charge flows past a point on a circuit. So your current is mathematically expressed as I is equal to dq all over dt. Your t here denotes that your current is dependent with time. So in order to get the magnitude of I, we can simply use the formula that Q over T, or the magnitude of Q all over T, which is equal to coulombs per second. So your coulombs is simply the unit of your charge and your seconds is the unit of your time. Sir, dapat ba naka-seconds lagi? Yes. Because the unit for current is coulombs per second or your ampere. Also, I would like to point out two types of current. We have your DC current and your AC current. So let's take up your DC current. What is a DC current? Particularly, the properties of your DC current is that number one, it has a constant magnitude and it is unidirectional. Your direct current is defined by the constant flow of electrons from an area of high electron density to an area of low direction or low electron density. Okay? Unidirectional and constant in magnitude. So, if I would graph the direct current, you would notice that I will have two values, your positive and your negative value. So, I would illustrate my positive direction as going here. Graph direction on my positive is going here. Pag negative naman, pabalik yan in your negative direction. Yeah, that is your positive and negative I. And also your time. Take note that your time is in seconds. Let us focus on your positive graph. So, when I said constant magnitude, at any time that you would substitute any value, at time is equal to 1 second, your current is I. Let's say your I. If your time is 2 seconds, the current in your 1 second is equal to your 2 seconds. And then the current of your 3 seconds is equal to the current of your 1 and 2 seconds. When I say constant, it will never change. That is your direct current. It is an electric current that is unidirectional, so the flow of charge is always in the same direction. Okay. Next is your AC current. Your AC current is particularly the flow of charge changes direction periodically. So your AC current. The flow of charge changes periodically. It is represented by a sine wave. Flows periodically. So therefore, your I is not constant. It changes as the time increases, or as the time increases in a sine wave, in a form of a sine wave. Okay? Yan. If you're talking about if you are talking about AC current, your I will never be constant. There will be a positive and negative value, and it changes periodically. This is your sine wave. This is your AC. Uh, AC is used to deliver power to houses, office, and buildings. And AC can be produced by using a device called an alternator. This device is a special type of electric generator designed to produce alternating current. There are other flows of AC current. Actually, in our problems, may iba-iba pa siyang types of graph. We have our square wave and triangular wave. When I talk about square wave, ito yung graph niya. This is your square wave. Okay. Delete. This is your square wave. Yan. And you talk about your rectangular wave. This is the graph of your rectangular wave. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I would also want to point out that your AC current changes with time. Therefore, if you have a time, let's say t, in your eye, if you have time at 1 second, particularly the current would be here. Let's say this will be your I1 at 1 seconds. And then if you have a current at, let's say, 2 seconds and to 3 seconds, you have, let's say, here, right? You have I2 and I3. So as you observe, you have a periodical wave, which means that your I1 is not equal to I2, is not equal to I3, and it's not equal to I4. Okay, I will give you more examples of AC current as we go on in our topic. So there are two types of flow that we would use in this lesson, or in these topics, in the topics that would come. So we have number one is your conventional flow of current. Let's say you have a source, yan, and then you have your current path. Okay, you have a current path, and then you have a load. The examples of your load are your things that you are connecting to the circuit. See, this would be a resistor. Right? Let's say this will be your load and this will be your source. Source, lot. In the conventional flow of current is that we would assume that your positive charges move from positive to negative, which is never be the case. Theoretically, yung nag-move dyan is yung electron nyo. This will be your positive source. See? Yan. Your source will move from positive to negative. That is your conventional flow. Next thing is your electron flow. So, yung electron flow, this is actually yung theory na ginagamit natin wherein your electron will move. Okay? In electron flow, the one which will move is your electron. Yan. Okay? Yan, electron flow. This is your positive and negative charge. This should be your positive. This should be your load. Okay? When you're talking about electron flow, is that your electron will flow, negative siya, from negative to positive. Which means that the electron will go out the negative of the source going to the positive. That is your electron flow. But particularly in my lessons, I would prefer to use our conventional flow. Okay? Para hindi po tayo malito. We will assume that charges will go out at your positive and going back to your negative. Okay? So let's proceed to your examples. Let's proceed to the example. So number 1, we have 6.482 times 10 raised to 17. Number 2, 1.24 times 10 raised to 18. And number 3 is 2.46 times 10 raised to 19. The question is, how many columns are represented by this amount of electron? So going back to our discussion, we all know that your one electron has a charge equal to 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19. So, if you are not familiar with this charge, which I have discussed a while ago, you can use your calculator. Just find E, shape 7, and then hanapin nyo yung E that stands for elementary charge. Okay? So, since it is electron, we must say that electron has a negative charge. Okay? So, we have 1 electron is equal to negative 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19. So, the charge is equal to 6
0.482 times 10 raised to 17 multiplied electron multiplied by negative 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19 coulombs. So, the charge coulombs is equal to using our calculator. So, I have up here your 991 ES in case na makakalimutan yung calculator nyo. Okay? So, we have negative 1.602 negative 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19 negative 19 multiplied by your number of electrons, which is equal to 6.482 times 10 raised to 17 times 10 raised to 17. We have a value equal to negative 0.01384 coulombs, or simply equal to negative 0.104 negative 0.104 coulombs, right? Equal to negative 1.0384 coulombs. That is our first example. So number 2, we have 1.24 times 10 raised to 80. So it is equal to, at coulombs, it is equal to 6.482 times 10 raised to 17 multiplied by negative 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19. Therefore, it is equal to 1.24 times 10 raised to 18 multiplied by negative 1.602 times 10 raised to negative 19. Okay. What is your answer? It is equal to negative 0.198648 coulombs. Negative 0.1984164 columns. 4164 columns. Okay. Try the third example, and the answer of the third example is equal to negative 3.99092. So please answer the third example. Let's proceed to your example number 2. Determine the current flowing through an element if the charge flow is given by number 1, Q sub t is equal to 10 sine 120 pi t picocoulombs. Number 2, Q sub t equals 3e raised to negative t minus 5e raised to negative 2t nanocoulombs, and Q sub t, which is equal to 8t squared plus 4t minus 2 coulombs. So, going back to our principle that I sub t is equal to dq sub t all over dt. So always take note that these notations indicate that your I sub t and q sub t is dependent with time. So your q sub t, let's say at number 1, we have q sub t is equal to 10 sine 120 pi t. So going back to the principle I dq over dt, so let's you should know or you should remember the derivatives of each trigonometric and algebraic and other functions. Okay, we have 10 sine 120 pi t. So how will we solve that? So take note that the derivative of our sine u over dt or your dx, right? dx. So pag napapansin nyo, yung graph nyo is x and y, right? But take note that your x is represented by t and your y is represented by I, right? So the sine u over dt. Okay? So if you get the derivative of your sine, it is equal to cosine u du over dt, right? But what is your u? Anyone? So your u is simply equal to 120 pi t. Tama ba? Your u is equal to 120 pi t. This one. Okay? You have u which is equal to 120 pi t. Saan ito? Yan. So, yung screen nyo ba? Pi t. Basically, 10 sine 100 pi t. So, after knowing that one, we will differentiate it already. So, you have your I sub t is equal to 10 sine u. Also, getting the derivative of sine u with respect to dt will have a value equal to 10 cosine u du over dt. But what is your u? Your u is equal to 120 pi t, right? So therefore, we have 10 cosine 120 pi t multiplied by the derivative of your 120 pi t over dt, right? So after modifying your equation, so let's get the answer. It is equal to 10 cosine 120 pi t multiplied by the derivative of 120 pi t is equal to 120 pi, right? Therefore, the answer is equal to 1200 pi multiplied by your cosine 120 pi t. Take note of the unit. It is in pico-coulombs. Right? So, if there will be any question, feel free to ask it in our GC or comment down below. Right? So, this is our example number 1. Let's proceed to example number 2. We have your Q sub t, Qt, which is equal to 3e raised to negative t minus 5e raised to negative 2t nanocolumns. So how will we solve this one? So another thing again is that you should remember your derivatives. So since you are at home, I know that most of you has internet, you may search the derivative of different functions, both algebraic, trigonometry, and transcendental functions. Okay? So we all know that the derivative of e raised to u is just equal to the derivative e raised to u is equal to, with respect to dt, is equal to e raised to u du. Right? Am I correct? So feel free to check this derivative formula. Right? Okay. So since you have already the derivative formula, let's find u. Okay. So we will have two u's here. You have your u at your expression 1 and your u at expression 2. Okay. So the best thing to do for you is to solve and solve problems, because it will help you in especially will help your skills to improve, especially your memorization. Okay. So at this example, I will indicate it as u1, which is equal to negative t, and u2, which is equal to negative 2t. Okay, let's start. So q sub t is equal to 3e raised to negative u1, negative t minus 5e raised to negative 2t minus 5e raised to negative 2t. But a while ago, I represented that your negative t is equal to your u1. So 3e raised to negative u1 minus, actually it is equal to u1 lang. u1 na lang siya. Kasi I already represent your u1 as negative 3. So u1 minus 5e raised to u2. Okay. So after that, let's apply the formula. So we have equals positive 3. So e raised to u1 minus 5e raised to u2. Right? So therefore, I may say that the derivative of u, getting the derivative with respect to t of both sides, du over dt, right? du over dt. So I may say that the derivative of q with respect to time is equal to I, which is equal to 3. Pwede natin i-factor out yan. That is a law of your derivatives. D times dt times e raised to u1 minus 5 times the derivative of e raised to u2 all over dt. Alright? So therefore, it is equal to 3. The derivative of e raised to u is equal to 3 e raised to u1 times the derivative of u1 with respect to dt minus 5 times e raised to u2 multiplied by the derivative of u2 with respect to dt. Okay? Your u1 is equal to negative t and u2 is equal to negative 2t. Okay? So, equals 3 e raised to negative t times the derivative of negative t minus 5 e raised to negative 2t times the derivative of negative 2t divided by your dt. So the derivative of negative t is equal to negative 1. Tama? So please recall your derivatives if you cannot understand the answer. So 3 e raised to negative t multiplied by negative 1 minus 5 e raised to negative 2t multiplied by negative 2. So we will have an answer equal to negative 3 e raised to negative t. Negative 5 multiplied by negative 2 is just equal to positive 10 e raised to negative 2t. Alright? Nano amperes. That is our answer. It is your I T. Right? So, if there will be any question, feel free to ask. Okay? At number 3, it is your turn to answer the example. So, Q sub t is equal to 8t squared minus 4t minus 2 columns. The answer is just equal to 6. So, let's proceed to your example number 3. We have find the charge flowing through a device if the current is number 1, I sub it is equal to 20 cosine 10t plus pi over 6 microampere, and Q sub O, or your initial charge, is equal to 2 microcoulomb. And number 2 is IT, which is equal to 2t plus 5 milliampere, at Q sub 0, or your initial charge, is equal to O. So, how will we solve this one? Take note that your I is equal to dq over dt. And your dq is equal to I dt. So, getting the integral of both sides, we can say that your dq is equal to q plus c with a limit of q sub 0 to qf, which is equal to the integral of I dt. So, your first equation has I sub t, or your I, equal to 20 cosine 10t plus pi over 6. 10t plus pi over 6. Right? So, your I sub t is equal to 20 cosine 10t plus pi over 6. How will we solve this one? So, first, you should know the integral of cosine. So, kailangan maalala nyo lahat yan because it would be very difficult for you to answer these questions. But probably since you are at home, pwede kayo mag-open ng net because that is your advantage. Okay? So you have your Q plus C is equal to the integral of 20 cosine 10 t plus pi over 6. Never forget your dt. Okay? So, how will we solve this one? So, by substitution lang yan, okay? We have your integral of cosine u du is equal to sine u plus c. But how will we turn this equation into this equation? Yung kamukha ng equation na yan. By letting your u be equal to your 10t plus pi over 6. That is your u, right? But what is your du? So, in order to get the value of your du, let's differentiate this function, which is equal to du over dt. Right? So, the derivative of d over dt is that d is equal to 10 t plus pi over 6. Okay? With respect to your dt. du over dt. Okay? So, du over dt is just equal to the derivative of 10t is equal to 10 because of the derivative of a constant multiplied by a variable is always equal to the constant multiplied by the derivative of a variable. Okay? So, 10 multiplied by the derivative of t, the derivative of t plus the derivative of pi over 6. We have the derivative of t is equal to 1, right? And the derivative of pi over 6, take note that this is a constant. The derivative of constant with respect to t is always equal to 0, right? So, therefore, plus 0 du over dt. So, we have then your du over dt is equal to 10 dt. Take note that dalawa yung gusto nating kunin. Yung form na cosine u, yung cosine u at tong du. So, based on this equation, we may say that your du can be solved by this equation, right? We have your du then is equal to 10 dt, right? But since we are substituting this equation into this equation, we may say that your dt is equal to du over 10. The factor 1 over 10 multiplied by du. This can be rewritten into 1 over 10 multiplied by du. But what is this 1 over 10? Your 1 over 10 is what you call your neutralizing factor. You may learn your neutralizing factor in the book of Alexander and we. Okay? So, we already have the neutralizing factor. Okay? Let's try to solve it. So, we have Q plus C, okay, Q plus C is equal to the integral of 20, right? 20 cosine your 10t is equal to u, right? Your 10t plus pi over 6. So I may say that it is equal to cosine u, okay, multiplied by your dt. But what is dt? Your dt is simply equal to this one, right? So therefore, the equation can be rewritable or manipulated into the integral of 20 cosine u du over 10, which is equal to q plus c. Alright? From, never forget the limit of your q sub c and q plus c, which is q sub 0 and q sub f. Right? Q sub 0 to q sub f. Right? So, we may proceed to the integration wherein it is equal to the integral of cosine u is equal to 20 multiplied by the integral of, palitan ko lang yung pen color, the integral of cosine u du. Pwede kang ilabas yung 10 dito. Right? Okay. So, let's proceed. So, we have 2, the integral of cosine u du. But, as I have said, the integral of your cosine u du is equal to sine u plus c. So, therefore, we may say that it is equal to 2, the integral of, multiplied by the integral of cosine u du, which is equal to sine u plus c. So, you have 2 multiplied by, what is your sine u? Your sine u is equal to, sine 10t plus pi over 6. 10t plus pi over 6 plus c. Right? Tama ba, guys? Tama yan, guys. Tama yan, di ba? That is your answer. So, Q plus C from Q sub 0 to QF plus, which is equal to 2 sine 10t plus pi over 6 plus C from T sub O to T sub F. Yan. Particularly, your T sub O is equal to 0. Okay? And your T sub F is equal to T, and your Q sub F is equal to Q, and your Q sub 0 is equal to 2 microcolumns. Okay? Let's substitute. So, the concept of your limits is that, the concept of your definite integral is that you would have we will substitute your upper and your lower limit into the integrated equation. So, we have, let's say you have F upper at A minus F of lower at B is equal to F at upper at A, let's say A2 minus F of lower of B2. Okay? But what is your F of upper at A? So take note that your A here is equal to your QF, which is equal to your Q. And your B is equal to 2 micro. Your B is equal to 2 micro columns. And then your F your upper here, F your A2 is equal to T, and your B2 is equal to 0. So you will substitute this value to the equation. So we have our equation which is equal to Q plus C from 2 microcolumn to QF, which is equal to 2 sine 10t plus pi over 6 plus C from negative TO, from TO, positive to, from TO, or your 0, your TO is 0 to TF. Right? So, let's substitute. We have a value equal to Q plus C, which is equal to Q F, or equal to Q. So, lalagay QF plus C. This will be your FA minus 2 micro columns plus C. This will be your FLP, which is equal to your 2 sine TF 10TF plus pi over 6 plus C. This will be your equation A, and then your FB minus your FB, which is equal to 2 sine 10t is equal to 0, which is equal to 10 0 plus pi over 6 plus C. Take note that your C is a constant, therefore masi-0 yan. Equal constant lang yan, magiging 0 yan. So therefore we will have so you have QF. The final equation will be QF minus 2 micro column is equal to 2 sine 10TF plus pi over 6. So take note that plus C minus C is equal to 0, right? So equal to minus your value of 2 sine 10 multiplied by 0, kasi yung 0 natin, we substitute it from our T sub 0, right? So 0 plus pi over 6. So the value of pi over 6 is equal to, so let's get the value of your pi over 6. We have sine. One thing to remember is that you should be in radian form when computing of pi, which is inside your sine functions. So sine shift pi over 6 is equal to 0.5 or 0.5 or 1 half, right? So go back. Yan. So we have negative 2 is equal to 2 sine 10 tf plus pi over 6 minus 2 your sine of pi over 6 is equal to 1 half. Kasi nga 0 to, di ba? 0 yan. Okay? Multiplied by 1 half. So therefore, we have QF or your Q minus 2 microcolumns is equal to 2 sine 10 t plus pi over 6 minus 1. Okay? Therefore, I may say that your Q is equal to, transposing this to other side, we have Q is equal to 2 sine 10t plus pi over 6 plus 1. Take note, the unit of this one is also in microcolumns. So negative 2 also plus 2 minus 1. So therefore your Q is equal to 2 sine 10t plus pi over 6 plus 1 microcolumns. Okay? That is for our example number 1. Di ba mahaba, guys? Okay? That would be our answer. So, saan galing yung 0, sir? So, take note that we are solving for a time-related problem. So, your Q sub 0 can be termed as Q sub t. Relating that your t is equal to 0 at Q is equal to 2 microcoulomb. Alright? So, that is our example 1. So, number 2, erase ko lang yung board kasi sobrang madumi na, no? So, I will just erase the board. So, take note of the answers. We have 2 sine 10t plus pi over 6 plus 1 microcoulomb. Let's proceed to example number 2. So, we have I sub 2t or I sub t is equal to 2t plus 5. Take note that q sub 0 is equal to 0, which means that t at 0 is equal to 0 at q is equal to 0. Okay? So, therefore, your I sub t is equal to 2t plus 5. So, going back to our equation, dq over dt is equal to I. And your dq is equal to I dt. So, what is your dq? dq is just the integral from qo to qf. okay, which is equal to the integral of your I dt from TO to TF. This is your I dt. But what is your I? Your I is equal to 2t plus 5. Right? So the formula or the integral of this function is just relatable to u raised to n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. Okay? So therefore, I may say that the integral of your dq is equal to q plus c from qo to qf, which is equal to the integral of 2t plus 5, which is equal to 2t squared all over 2 plus 5t plus c. Right? So take note that your qf is equal to q. It will be your final q, and your t will be equal to your tf will be equal to your t. So you have our te and tf, which will be equal to our t. Okay? Later on. So tanggalin muna natin yan para hindi kayo malito. Right? Okay, masyadong malaki. Yan. tf is equal to t. Right? So q plus c from ito to. q plus c from qo to qf. And also we have 2t squared plus 2t squared over 2 plus 5t plus c from TO to TF. Right? So 2 divided by 2 is just equal to 1. Right? Therefore, we will have a q plus c from q0 to qf is equal to t squared plus 5t plus c. Which means that we have a value from t sub 0 to t sub f. Okay? So let's proceed to the process of our definite integral. You have your f of a or f of q of f, para hindi na kayo malito, f of q of f minus f of q sub 0, which is equal to f of t sub f minus f of t sub 0. Alright? So your f of q of f is just equal to, substitute your q of f to the function. So we will have a value equal to q of f plus 0 minus, so substitute natin ito ulit sa function na to. We have q sub 0 plus c. Take note C to, C. This is C. Yan. Plus C. Masyado tayong excited sa 0 na yan. Plus C. Is equal to f of tf or f of tf or t squared plus 5 tf plus c minus your t o squared plus your 5 to plus c. But remember that our T sub 0 is equal to 0. And our Q sub 0 is also equal to 0. Therefore, I will say that it is equal to Q of F. Take note that C minus C is just equal to 0, and your Q sub 0 is equal to 0. Minus 0 minus 0, which is equal to TF squared plus 5TF plus C minus C is equal to 0. So, manipulating the equation, we have our QF, which is also equal to your TF squared plus 5TF plus 0. But take note that your QF is just equal to your Q, which is equal to your TF, which is just equal to your T squared plus 5T. So, this is the answer. Alright? Yan.